Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So, before we dive into today's episode, which is all about Porsha Williams and her alleged fraudulent husband, Simon Guobadia, who apparently has a criminal background, is facing deportation, and it's just a lot. And I have a deep dive on that. We'll also talk about Real Housewives of Miami along with Traitors on NBC Peacock. Dun 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 dun. So before we dive in, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to comment down below. Let's have a fun, lively chat. And yeah, let's get into it. So, with that, let's go. So, for our first story, we're going to be talking about Simon Guobadia. As we all know, he made his debut on The Real Housewives of Atlanta by way of his then wife, Fallon. So, Fallon was a friend of trying to get her peach, and all of a sudden, it came out that he was dating, engaged to Porsha. I personally thought it was very gross, disgusting, whack as hell. I will never mess with Porsha after that. I had my issues with her before. Obviously, not personally, just like on the shows and stuff like that, because she was so violent and so unapologetically violent, like fighting with Nene and fighting with Kenya and fighting with Cynthia, fighting some assistant in an alley. Like she was just out of control with her violence. And I never liked that. And she never really got checked. She only got rewarded for it. Even when she got her spinoff show, she was literally physically trying to fight the grandmother of her daughter. She was trying to fight Dennis, the hot dog man, another alleged fraud. His mother, she was trying to fight him, and then she was fighting production. So my issue with Porsha, girl, sit all the way down. Bye with that. And then when it came out that she was engaged to her, let's just say coworker. We don't even have to say friend because we know on these shows they fake the friendships, but still, like you're on a reality show, you're acting like you're friends with this girl, you are in her home, you're all in her face, you are coworkers, and then while she is not only still married to this man, but pregnant, regardless of paternity of the child, she's pregnant and she's married to this man, and you turn around and say that this is now your fiance while he is legally married to your coworker, who you have been lying on television and saying is your friend. Skanky, disgusting, nasty, next. But this is the thing. Karma comes back real quick. You got him through a weird, shady way. That's how you're going to live. Again, remember that and exactly, Tay, Dungeon Gate. I wasn't messing with Porsha after that either. Saying that Candy and Todd were going to drug her and then do sexual acts to her in their dungeon. That is criminal. That's SA. That is our ape. You know what I'm saying? That's not okay. Like, you can't accuse someone of SAing you or going to SA you or SAing other people. That's huge. That's why that's why Phaedra got fired. That's why Porsha, she came back on a couple more seasons when she apologized to Candy. But after all of that, I'm like, Porsha, you're not stupid. You might be dumb, but you're not stupid. Do you know what I mean? Porsha's not a stupid person. She knew what she was saying. She knew the implications of what she was saying, and she knew she had no proof of it. That's huge. I personally really do like Candy Burris. I know some people think she's boring or flat or whatever, but I like her. I think she's great. But regardless if you like her or not, being accused of essaying someone or going to essay someone is a really big deal. Not only for your business and your money, but she's also a mother and she has children. What if there wasn't an investigation? What if, Child Protective Services got involved? She's saying that this is happening in her home, some dungeon where they go and like drug and SA people. I'm assuming the children are sleeping in the household. It had much bigger implications than just, oh, she's reading you and this is some tea. We have to be really, really careful with our keys and our teas and our shade because they have real life consequences, not just people's businesses and monies, but also to their families. And Porsha's not stupid. She knew what she was saying and she knew the implications of it. That's why at the reunion, she got up there and was like, Phaedra said it. Phaedra was the one because she was throwing the bone back. She was like, whoa, I'm not trying to go down with this. I know what I did was wrong. I knew I was lying through my teeth, but I'm not going to take the bullet for this. Phaedra. And then that's why Phaedra got fired. So Porsha is 100% getting her karma for how dirty she did Candy, for how violent she's been in the past, and for how dirty she did Fallon. Because this is the thing with that, and then I'll get it, and then I'll finish my rant in a little bit. But I'm on one right now. And then I'll get into Simon's, fraud, alleged fraud. Because don't come after me, Simon, because you need some coins. Leave me alone. I'm just on YouTube. Leave me alone. Anyway, back to my rant about Porsha. This is the thing. Let's just pretend, for pretend's sake, that Porsha really just happened to fall in love with Simon, her co-star, her co-worker's husband, that they're still legally married with, that she was all in this woman's face in her home. Let's just say she just happened to fall in love with him and she knew he was the one for her. Okay, cool. But why the disrespect? Because I get it. Life can be messy sometimes. Let's just pretend she really did fall in love with him and not fall in love with the life he probably was promising her. You see all these cars Fallon has? These cars can be yours. You see this big house we live in? This house could be yours. You see all the travel we go on? You could be traveling with us. I'm sure he sold her a bill of goods the same way he sold it to Fallon. And pop it open. Porsha had no problem popping it open because she thought there was going to be some coins involved. She wanted the car, she wanted the houses, she wanted the vacation, she wanted the life. In my personal opinion, do I think Porsha fell in love with Simon Guobadia? Hell no. No, I think she fell in love with the life. I think she saw Fallon and thought that should be me. That's what I think really happened. I don't think she fell in love with Simon. I think she's still in love with Dennis the hot dog man, but Dennis the hot dog man don't want her. And I think she's been reeling from that forever. I think if she had it her way, she would be with Dennis the hot dog man, but he clearly doesn't want her. And so she was like, I see Fallon living this life. That life should be me. I don't think she fell in love with Simon. But let's just pretend she did. Okay, cool. Sometimes life can be messy. You can't help who you fall in love with. My issue with Porsha is why embarrassment and why the disrespect? Like posting on Instagram that this is now your fiance and, going out with him in the ring and this, that, and the third. And I don't know Fallon and who's that. And she's this chick and blah, 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 blah. It's like, that really was it for me. Like, you don't have to try to embarrass and malign and dismiss and disrespect the woman that you are trying to replace. Oh, Fallon was doing this and she was doing that. Who cares? That's her marriage and her business. Don't try and act like anything Fallon did or did not do justifies you having sex with your coworker's husband and then putting it on Instagram that you are engaged to her husband. I don't care what Fallon was doing. I don't care if Fallon was cheating on him with every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the world. It still doesn't justify your actions, Porsha. But people love to do that. They love when they do dirt. They love to try to malign the person that they did dirty to, as if that justifies their dirt that they're doing. It doesn't. It just makes you look thirsty, pathetic, desperate, and sad. And I'm not defending Fallon. I don't know her or anything like that. I'm just looking at it from a woman, human perspective. What I'm doing in my marriage is my business. It does not justify you coming up into my house, playing in my face, and the entire time you're scheming to replace me. Because that's what I think Porsha did. I think she walked into that woman's house. She saw all the houses. She saw the money. She saw the jewelry. She saw the cars. And she thought that should be me. That's what I really think happened. But now karma's coming back. Okay, now let's get into his alleged fraud. And it is what it is. Now, here we go. Now, this is according to BNN Breaking. Ugh, it's a lot, you guys. It's a lot. So let's buckle up. Let's buckle up. It says Simon Guobadia's quest for citizenship, a tale of fraud, identity, and the pursuit of the American dream. Simon Guobadia's quest for U.S. citizenship involving fraud and false identities illustrates the complexities of immigration law. His recent court denial emphasizes the challenges of redemption and pursuing a better life. In a twist that sounds like it's ripped straight from the script of a primetime drama, Simon Guobadia, known to many as the husband of Real Housewives of Atlanta star Porsha Williams, and I'm going to insert the ex-husband of Real Housewives of Atlanta friend of Fallon, Guobadia, finds himself in a legal quagmire, spotlighting the complex narrative of immigration, identity, and the pursuit of the American dream. Recently, a federal court in Atlanta has turned down Guobadia's plea for U.S. citizenship, citing a history mired in criminality and deceit that reads more like a plot of a thriller than a citizenship application. From visitor to fugitive, the saga begins. Simon Guobadia's journey to the United States began in 1982, arriving as a child on a visitor's visa. However, this initial entry, rather than being the start of a straightforward immigrant tale, marked the beginning of a decades long saga of fraud and false identities. By 1991, after overstaying his visa, Guobadia found himself on the wrong side of the law, ordered to be deported. The following year, in a move that would set the stage for later legal battles, he was physically removed from the United States. Yet the narrative did not end there. Demonstrating a resilience or perhaps recklessness that would define his subsequent actions, Guobadia managed to re-enter the US, this time under a different identity. Through this new alias, he obtained a green card by fraudulent means, effectively becoming a permanent resident under the radar of immigration authorities. A tale of fraudulence. The layers of Simon Guobadia's past began to unravel further when it was revealed that his path to supposed legitimacy was paved with multiple felonies, including bank fraud, credit card fraud, and identity theft. These revelations came to light during his application for U.S. citizenship, an application that would be denied not once, but twice. Initially in 2016, Guobadia's attempt at naturalization was rejected due to his permanent resident status being unlawfully granted. Undeterred, he filed another application in 2020, only to face denial once more for not being lawfully admitted for permanent residence. In a final bid to overturn the series of rejections, Guobadia filed a complaint in 2023, asking the court to vacate the denial and grant him U.S. citizenship. However, this plea was dismissed in 2020 in 2024 rather, with the court pointing to his criminal past and illegal entry into the country as insurmountable barriers to his claim. You guys, I am not a lawyer, and I am definitely not an immigration lawyer, but I am a little confused. And I'm going to tell you what I'm confused on. And let me know what you guys think, and then I'm going to finish the article really quickly. How is he not a US citizen, but he's been married to not one, but at least to two American citizens? Isn't when you get married to an American citizen, you get US citizenship? Or does it have to be after 2 years or certain things? I don't know. Anybody who is more well versed in immigration law when it comes to being married to US citizens? Because I always thought people got married for green cards. Obviously for love, yes. But isn't it the whole thing where it's like, oh, they got married to make sure so this person could stay in the US? Maybe it's after a certain amount of years. How long has Porsha and Simon been allegedly married? You know what I mean? Um, so that's a little confusing to me. And then also he was married to Fallon. Weren't they married for multiple years? And prior to Fallon, I'm sure he was married before her. I'm sure he was. It seems like he's been married multiple times. So how did he not become a legal US citizen through the marriages? Are these real marriages? Or are these fake marriages? I don't know. But that's something to question. Okay. The impact beyond the courtroom. The decision of the federal court in Atlanta does not merely mark the end of a legal battle for Simon Guobadia. It underscores the intricate and often unforgiving nature of immigration law. Guobadia's case is a stark reminder of the consequences of fraudulent actions on the quest for citizenship, a quest that is, for many, fraught with challenges, but ideally pursued through lawful means. For Porsha Williams and her family, this ruling casts a shadow over their future, raising questions about the implications of Guobadia's legal status on their lives in Atlanta. It also thrusts them into the center of a public discourse on immigration, identity, and redemption, topics that resonate far beyond the realm of reality TV. In the broader context, Simon Guobadia's ordeal is a narrative thread in the complex tapestry of American immigration. This is the thing. This article is being very nice about Simon, but I feel like he was denied not because of his illegal attempts to gain citizenship, but I feel like it may have been denied because of his, and I'll say alleged business fraud. You know, he has had fraud allegations against him for a very, very long time. You know, bank and credit card fraud. You know, it says in September of 1987, Simon Guobadia was arrested for bank and credit card fraud and pleaded guilty to the felony. Simon Guobadia was again arrested in January of 1989 for the unauthorized use of a vehicle and arrested once more in May of 1990 for fraud. So he has a past of fraud. Now it's in Reality Blurb saying that he was convicted of 2 felonies. This one's from Reddit, that he has a scammer history of fraud and fake identities. So that is a big thing, you know? Yikes. Thank you, Soft and Spicy. He says, I believe they get married for permanent residency green card, which is different from citizenship. Thank you. That's a good point. Thank you for that, because I had a brain freeze. I was like, wait a minute. He's been married multiple times, but the marriage gives them residency, but not citizenship. Gotcha. Good. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Which is why, and shout out to Soft and Spicy for that, because I had a brain freeze. Because now this is also making me think about Teresa and Joe Giudice. You know, he got deported back to Italy after he did his time for his fraud because he wasn't a citizen. But because he married Teresa, he had permanent residency. It's giving those vibes. So, what do you guys think about this? And then also, this has a lot of questions. Do you think he should be granted US citizenship when he has a history of fraud? Not just fraud trying to stay in the country, because I think there's levels to it. You know, not all crimes are the same in my personal opinion. I do think that there is a moral compass. Just because something might be quote illegal, in my opinion, doesn't always equate to it being immoral. That's just me. So I think that if someone is doing identity theft and fraud because they're desperate to stay in the country for whatever reasons, even though it may be illegal, I understand that. You know, I don't think that's necessarily immoral. There's a difference between what is immoral versus what is illegal. You know, I understand that. However, even though it's being confirmed out there, I'm still going to say alleged, his alleged crimes aren't that. They're bank fraud, they're credit card fraud, they're scamming fraud, it's business fraud, it's white collar fraud, it's scamming people, it's all of that stuff. So to me, that is immoral as well as illegal. So I'm kind of okay with him not getting citizenship if it's for those reasons. The same way I was okay with Joe Giudice being deported. He scammed the US government, taxpayers' money, you know? So I'm okay with you being deported. You scammed our government. You scammed us, our taxpayers, you know? And so I'm okay with that. I think it's very, in my Nene voice, is it a coincidence that all of this is happening literally like the day after Porsha confirms she's coming back to Atlanta for season 16 or 15, whatever season it is? Probably not. Because again, a lot of these narcissistic scammer frauds, the reason why they're like that is because they think they are above the law. They think they're untouchable. And then they have the audacity to go on reality TV. So, do I think Simon probably could have continued to fly under the radar if he was not such a public person? Yeah, probably. Probably. Same thing with Tom Girardi, the Giudices, the Phaedra and Apollos of the world, you know, the Jin Shaws, you know, it's like these people who are so clearly committing fraud, and yet they still go on reality TV, somehow thinking they're not going to get called and caught and called out. But it does the opposite because it actually pisses off the feds and it pisses off our government. Because one thing that these powerful institutions, like the legal institution and the, you know, protector institutions like the police and the feds and the FBI and the CIA and the judicial system, they don't like it when people thumb their nose to them, where people kind of stick it to them, where people think they've gotten one over on them or they have egg on their face, where the world knows these people are committing frauds and scams and they think they're getting over on it. Those institutions don't play. So when you try to get one over on those types of institutions, they come after you worse because they want to make a public example of you. Yikes. Porsha, I'm not being mean, but I don't feel bad for you. You made your bed, you lie in it. You know, and I'm not defending Fallon or by any means, you know, I don't know these people personally, but just as a human being and as a woman, when another woman so publicly tries to humiliate and degrade another woman to justify sleeping with that woman's husband, that's disgusting to me. That's just another level of disgustingness from me. You know, don't try and justify sleeping with some woman's husband by trying to malign her. You don't have to be friends with someone to just have common human decency. And that was my issue with Porsha. You want to get the bag, you want to replace her, you want everything she has. You're in love, you're quote in love with him, which I don't think you are. Cool, cool. But it was the way you moved that told me everything I needed to know about you as a person. Because you moved dirty. You moved real dirty. So you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. So Porsha, I don't feel bad for you. I heard some outlets being like, "Oh, now Porsha's gonna have a storyline for the next season because of his fraud and all this stuff." And that just gave me confirmation that I'm not messing with the Real Housewives of Atlanta anymore. The fact that they even brought Porsha back to me was really sad and pathetic and desperate. I don't want to see Porsha's journey anymore. I want new people, fresh faces. And the fact that they brought her back and the fact that people are like, oh, now she's a storyline. Yeah, I'm done because I don't want storylines of fraud. Don't we have enough? Why is it the storyline is that your husband has been called out by the US government for being a fraud and a scammer, and he's probably going to be deported? Why is that something to be revered as somebody's storyline? I don't want that. I want to see a woman who is thriving and having fun, and the storyline is how spoiled she is, how happy she is, how lavish and luxury her life is. She's opening this boutique just because she wants to. She's flying to France for some beignets just because she wants to. She's flying to London to go on a shopping spree just because she wants to. Like I want the storylines to be like we're fighting because I wanted to have the I wanted to fly on my private jet, but then she wanted everybody to fly on her private jet. Can you believe that? She's always trying to blah 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 outshine me. Like that's the pettiness that I want. That's the storylines that I want. I'm so sick and tired of this dark evil fraud being glorified. Who wants to emulate that? I'm done with it. Ugh. All right, I'm gonna get off my rant, but it's too much. It's too much. But I want to know what you guys think. It had been out there for years about Simon Guobadia's fraud, him being a scammer. What do you think about everything coming to light? Do you think he'll be deported? Do you think he deserves citizenship or no? Because you came to America and you scammed us. Do you deserve to be a citizen? Yes or no? And then what do you think about Porsha returning to the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Are we here for it? Are we not here for it? Are you watching? Are you not watching? I won't be watching. I'm not here for it. Simon, kick rocks. I don't know what to tell you. So put it down below and let me know what you guys think. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's move on to our next story. Dun 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 dun. So, are you guys watching Traitors on NBC/Peacock? I am. I think it's really, 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 really good. So, let's talk about what's going on in some of the people. So, I have from Wikipedia basically a breakdown of all of the traitors. So, I'm going to go through each one that's been traitors or the faithfuls that's been eliminated so far and give my opinions on it. I will say this, out the jump, I am obsessed with Phaedra on the Traitors. I think this is a show where she shines. I'm obsessed with her. I think her personality is perfect for it. And I don't know about you guys, but I always want the Traitors to win. Like, I didn't know that people wanted Faithfuls to win the show. I thought it's called Traitors. You want the Traitors to win. So, do you guys want the Faithfuls to win the money or do you want the Traitors to win the money? Because I always just root for the Traitors. Maybe that's just me, but I always want the traitor to win. So I want Phaedra and Kate can win too. Kate, because we know that the last episode, and there might be spoilers if you're not caught up, but the last episode, Phaedra is trying to recruit Kate to become a traitor. And obviously, I think Kate is going to agree because she either becomes a traitor or she has to leave the show. So I'm sure she's going to become a traitor. And I think it's going to be great. And I love seeing the two of them work. But I want Phaedra to win. I want her to beat the Faithfuls. And yeah, I don't know. Is that weird? But I want the Faithfuls. I want the traitor to win. Okay, so the first person banished from the show was Johnny Bananas. Now, I had no idea who the hell Johnny Bananas was until I saw him on House of Villains. And he gives like the guy who stayed at the party too long vibes, if you know what I mean. I feel like he's like the guy that's like at the frat party, but he graduated a decade ago and he just hasn't realized like it's time to leave the party. That's kind of the vibes Johnny Banana gives me. He was also spotted with what's her face from Summer House, Lindsay, after her and Carl's whole like engagement fell apart. I don't think they were romantically linked. I think it was more like, let's call Backgrid and get some photos and TMZ type situation. Anyway, I would have, I'm kind of bummed he got eliminated so quickly. I would have liked to see him more in the house. I do think that Dan, who was a traitor that got eliminated, I do think that he was very insecure and threatened by the men. I really think he was. But that's just sort of Johnny Bananas on that. Now, the next person was Peppermint. Justice for Peppermint. So, Peppermint is transgender, and she was beautiful, amazing. She was all of the things. Unfortunately, she got tied like me right now, trying to talk about being a traitor versus being a faithful. And weird Trishelle, who, can we banish Trishelle? I'm over Trishelle. I'm so tired of her personality. She reminds me of like Big Bird, not in a mean way, but that's just kind of like what she reminds me of. Like I remind myself of Tweety Bird, so I'm not being mean. I remind myself of Tweety Bird, and she reminds me of Big Bird, and so when Trishelle was like, "Oh my God, I think Peppermint is a traitor because she did a dramatic face when I said that my outfits are better than hers and she will murder me because of that." I was like, Trishelle, if you don't shut up and sit down and stop reaching. And then the weird people who were like, yeah, Trishelle, that makes total sense. What? What? That's why I want the traitors to win, because the faithfuls are dumb as hell. It's really just all the way dumb. So, justice for Peppermint. She got banished way before I think she should have. She was really funny. She was comic relief. She was gorgeous. Now, since then, I saw that there was some GoFundMe for Peppermint, and Trishelle gave like $200. I'm not sure what the GoFundMe was for. I don't know if it was like justice for Peppermint or if she actually needed it for something in general or particular. I don't know. But justice for Peppermint, I do think she was done dirty, but it just goes to herd mentality, where one person who might be completely idiotic just talks the most and the loudest. And then people who don't think for themselves just sort of go along to get along without doing any critical thinking. And speaking of that, next to go was Marcus Jordan. Now, as we know, Marcus was eliminated because Dan felt threatened by him. Because Marcus was like, "Oh, Dan, like you're really quiet. You don't talk about anything. Like what's going on with you?" So then Dan wanted to banish him. Now, when Marcus was banished, Larsa was like, "Cheers to my boyfriend." I am so tired of Larsa and Marcus, like in life in general, in all of the places. Their whole fake separating right before Valentine's Day, then getting back together for Valentine's Day. She's wearing a white dress and a big ring. Like, Larsa, sit down and shut up and have self receipts. First of all, nobody is buying this fake relationship. Do the two of you smash? Sure. Are you in a serious relationship? Hell no. In my personal opinion, I think it's a fake relationship. I think they're seeing each other, but I don't think it's what they try and make it out to be. We can say cheats in quotes if we want. That's all over. Just Google it, Reddit, the tabloids, Google it. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying it's out there, but I don't think she cares because I think she knows what it is. And like she said in not this last episode, but the episode before on Real Housewives of Miami, when she's arguing with Lisa, she goes, "I don't have anyone." She's like, "No, like you have Todd and I don't have anyone." And I was like, "But aren't you dating Marcus? So why are you, when you're angry and when you're in the heat of the moment and when your mask is off, you're being honest because you're not thinking to lie, you say you don't have anyone. What about Marcus?" The reason why she says she doesn't have anyone is because she knows it is a business relationship for their podcast, because I think he wants to, be on reality TV. I think Larsa wanted a boyfriend to have on TV. I think she wanted a come up, and so did he. And it's like, well, you can benefit me, I can benefit you. It'll be salacious. I'm dating Michael Jordan's son and I'm the ex of Scottie Pippen. People will be talking, blah, 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 blah. I don't think Marcus has any money of his own. I think all of his money is his trust money, which is fine. If my father's Michael Jordan, I'm living off of my trust. No qualms about it. No judgment. I don't care. Whatever. If my father's Michael Jordan, you're damn right I'm living off of my trust and living a lovely, lovely, happy life. As we all should and as we all would. So I don't think he has any money of his own. And that's fine. If you can be a trust fund baby for your life, knock yourself out. Who cares? No judgment. But with that being said, I don't think he gives her any money. And I think that's why she said, you have Todd. No, is it no, Jody. I'm sorry. Jody, not Todd, Jody. She goes, you have Jody to Lisa. And what she meant by that is Jody provides for you. Jody gives you money. I don't have that because I don't think Marcus gives her anything other than photo ops and podcast episodes. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that their whole breakup and getting back together, I think that's nothing but promo for them. You know, the Traitors reunion will probably be recording soon. Maybe they needed a bump. Miami reunion, I heard that went horrible. I heard that Marcus popped off. He got into like a big fight and he went on some rant and he really just sort of like his mask slipped and people were like, "Whoa, is this Marcus? Is this the real Marcus?" So stay tuned for that. So Marcus being eliminated, whatever. Bye, Marcus. Okay. Next up was Maxim Max. So this is the guy from Dancing with the Stars. I don't know why. And this is the thing with Max, he did get weird. Like his personality did change. It got really weird. He started just like walking into rooms and backing out and just kind of doing whatever and like all of that stuff. I don't know why his personality changed because I actually really liked him because he was one of the most rational, logical thinkers of the faithful. He was like, no, I'm not going to vote against Peppermint because Trishelle said that she had a big look on her face. Like, that makes zero sense. That's not proof. That doesn't mean anything. And he was like, this is just herd mentality. Like, he was 100% correct. And so, good for the Traitors that the faithfuls got him out because he was actually thinking for himself. And usually, people who think for themselves are the most rational people. Because that, you know what I mean? When you can think for yourself, when you can say, okay, I hear what you're saying, but what do I think? What do I believe? What evidence supports this? What evidence doesn't support this? You know, being a critical thinker. He was that. I don't know why his personality went all weird. Because I think if his personality hadn't switched up, he would have been a very strong faithful because he just thought rationally. But the way he was moving and being kind of weird, I understand why they banished him, but they were just stupid to banish him. So there was Max. Okay, Deontay Wilder. He's like the professional boxer guy. I needed more from Traitors around Deontay's exit. Clearly, and trigger warning around mental health. Again, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose, but from what I saw on the show, I don't think he was coping well emotionally with the show. You know, like after Peppermint left and she turned out to be a faithful, then he was like, we got to get Max out because Max changed up. And then Max turned out to be a faithful. He was like crying and he was like, I can't believe like I'm doing this to people and all of this stuff. And Phaedra, bless her heart, was like comforting him. And she was like, baby, it's just a game. It's just a game. And then all of a sudden he was just gone with like no explanation. He wasn't banished. He wasn't murdered. He was just gone. I think he chose to left the show or it was best for him to leave because I don't think that he was mentally prepared for the game. I think maybe he will, because again, he's a boxer. So not every person has the mental capacity. And I don't mean this in a negative way with him at all by any means. But they don't have the personality or the mental capacity to separate real life from the game. That's why some people are really good at reality TV. You know, like that's why we have shows like The Traitors and House of Villains and Legacy. Some people are built for it because they understand the game, you know, Survivor, All Stars, you know, they understand the game. And I think that he didn't understand. Like, I think he understood the game, but I don't think he was able to separate that this isn't real. Like, it's okay that you banished a faithful. Like, this is just a TV show. You see these cameras? Like, this isn't real. And I think he really got enmeshed with the situation. I don't think he had, what it is, not mental, whatever, mindset. That's what I'm looking for. The word is mindset. Not everybody has the correct mindset to be in certain situations. Like me personally, I'm not built for reality TV. I don't have the mindset to be a participant on a reality show. No, thank you, sir. I have a better mindset for behind the scenes. That I would understand, those mechanics. So, not everybody is built for reality TV, and I don't think he was built for it. I would have liked a little bit more clarity from the Traitors, but I don't know. He was just here one day, gone the next. Love you, Deontay. Sending you lots of love, and that's okay. Not everybody is built for everything. Like, I'm sure he has the most brilliant mindset for boxing. You have to be at his level. He's amazing. He's a star. Not everybody has that athlete mindset, that champion mindset that he does have. So I think it's just figuring out where you fit and where you don't fit. So shout out to Deontay. Okay. Ekansu. She was from Love Island, UK. I had no idea who she was until she got on the show. Now, Ekansu, I don't know what you guys thought of her. I thought she was freaking weird. Like, I thought she was really, really weird. Not in like a bad way or a negative bashing way, but like when she would be in her confessional, she'd be like, yeah, like I'm just like super attractive, but like I'm also like really smart and strategic and like people don't see me coming and like like flowers but like science. And I was like, what? And then when she was the one who actually did get poisoned by poverty's poison wine, she was like, I feel like I'm dying. I feel like it's me. And I'm like, either one, Traitors is completely, and to be honest with you, whether or not I actually believe that these shows are real, as in they're not behind the scenes scripted, I'm on the fence. Like, do I think that these shows are heavily produced? Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, do they know who's going to die before they die? Do they know who's going to be murdered or banished? Do they know who's going to win the game? Maybe. Maybe. There's little Easter eggs here and there where I'm like, okay, so this show is clearly fake, but I'm still here for every moment of it. Maybe that's just the conspiracy theorist in me. But the fact that she was like, I feel sick. I feel like it's me. I'm dying. I was like, Ekansu, shut up and get into the casket. Like, girl, bye. She was just really weird to me. She was just really weird. Not in a bad way, but just in like a like out to lunch, little loon vibes. Not in a mean way, in like a fun way. You guys know what I mean. She had a little bit of a cuckoo kink to her. So Ekansu, girl, it is what it is. Okay, Larsa. I was fine when Larsa got banished because, again, she just made all these accusations based on nothing. Her best accusation was against Dan because Dan was a traitor. And the reason why she felt he was a traitor was actually valid. Like, you don't participate. You are super quiet. You have this smirk on your face all the time. You seem very confident and not scared about anything. Something just seems off with you. And I agree. I think Dan played the game wrong. I really do. And I'm going to get more into where I think Dan went wrong when we get to him. But that was really the only one. Everybody else, she was just like, you breathed the wrong way. You looked over the here. You're too loud. You're too soft. It was just really bizarre. And I don't know why people look to Larsa as a leader. Like the leader of the housewives, the leader of Bravo. Like, girl, no, thank you. So I was okay when she left. Larsa's also kind of weird. I'm always like, even on Real Housewives of Miami, I'm like, Larsa, do you actually believe the crap you're saying? Or Are you purposely just saying the dumbest things that make no sense that are really super hurtful and unkind and mean? Like, I just don't get it. So, Larsa, I was okay with her being banished. Girl, bye. Okay. Dun dun dun. Well, let's see. Tamra. Okay, Tamra. When they banished Tamra, I didn't really care either way. Tamra had been sick on the show, so we didn't really get to see a lot of her. I think that she would have done a lot of damage if she stayed. She either would have been another Larsa who was just like really loud but saying nonsense, or she would have been really smart and cut through a lot of other people's BS. She was going to be either one. So when she got banished, I didn't care. But side note for the OC, allegedly Tamara, Vicky, and Shannon have some like huge beef going on where like it's no longer the Tres Amigas and Tamara's feuding with them. You know, she's on Teddy's side and all of that stuff. I personally think it's a crock of crap. I don't think for 1 second Tamara, Vicky, and Shannon are actually beefing. I think it's fake. I think the Tres Amigas made up this beef because they wanted to get Vicky back on the show. I think the three of them wanted the Tres Amigas back on the show, and they figured the best way to do it was to concoct some massive fight and feud between them that the producers would be like, oh my God, you guys are fighting and feuding. We have to bring Vicky back. But it didn't work. I don't think they're bringing Vicky back full time. And now they have like Alexis Bellino, which I'm like, ugh, stab me in the eye. Because again, it's disgusting. Like Alexis, why are you with Shannon's ex, John Jansen? Right? Why are you with John Jansen? Why are you with him? Again, it's nasty. Of all of the men in all of the world, Alexis, why would you choose to bust it open for Shannon's ex? Like recent ex. He was there with her during like the DUI and everything. She got the DUI coming from his house. And now you want to be on Instagram talking about this man gave me a promise ring when he was literally just with Shannon. It's nasty. Why? Because you want to be back on the show? Have you no dignity? It's just that to me is just really nasty. Maybe I'm conservative, maybe I'm old fashioned, I don't know. But just as a woman, have you no shame? Have you no ounce of self respect? Wouldn't be me, could never be me. It's just so disgusting. Again, the disrespect of another woman. You don't have to be friends with someone to show common decency to a human being. That is her ex. Not that you can't, date who you want to date, but you're in that world, you're in that circle. It's not like you're strangers or anything. And then you want to be, and then you come back on the show? Nasty. But I don't think the Tres Amigos are beefing in real life. I think that was all a storyline to try to get Vicky back on the show full time. And then Alexis, ugh. Like again, I'm done with the OC and it makes me really sad. But like I don't want to watch Alexis literally fist fighting with Shannon, because word on the street is that Shannon and Alexis got into a fist fight at the Quiet Room or the Quiet Lady, whatever the hell the name of that restaurant is. The Whispering Room, the Quiet Lady, the Quiet Room. Word on the street is they got into a fight. And I'm team Shannon. Shannon, knock her ass out. Knock her out. Lay her out. I don't condone violence, but I understand it sometimes. I'm a human being. We're going to keep it real. Sometimes you do understand violence. Doesn't mean you think it's right. Doesn't mean you partake in it. Doesn't mean you condone it. Doesn't mean there shouldn't be consequences to it. But if we're being honest, sometimes you understand when you want to knock a bee out, you want to knock her out. So I get it. I get the human animalistic urge to knock a bee out sometimes. I get it. I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying you shouldn't have consequences, but I understand the urge. I don't want to watch that because it's sad to me. I like Shannon. I like Vicky. I don't want to watch Shannon hurt. I think she got the DUI because she's in a world of pain, and I hope she gets the help she needs and she takes it seriously. But I don't want to watch 50 and 60-year-old women fist fight over John Jansen. That's not the show I'm signing up for. So I'm not going to watch OC. And the fact that Gina and who's the other one over there? Gina and her sidekick are still there. I can't. I can't. I'm done. I'm done. So yeah, when Tamara got banished, to me, no love lost. I didn't think it was a loss. Ugh. Okay. Now, Janelle. I didn't mind Janelle so much. She was on Big Brother. Again, I didn't know of her until she was on Traitors. And I thought that was fine. To me, Janelle was she was doing too much and doing the most all of the time. There is something to be said for like, girl, just chill. She was so loud, so over the top. Oh, I'm super competitive. I'm really aggressive. Blah, blah, blah. It was just too much. It was just like, I'm getting the shield. Like, just shut up and get the shield. I get it, you're on a show. You'll have your moments. But I think if she just would have piped down like a scotch, she probably would have kept going on for longer because she was smart, she was competitive, and she was a good competitor. She won the shield a lot. It was just like, girl, pipe down like a scotch. Other than that, Janelle was cool. She was okay. Just a little bit too loud sometimes, and which I think did her a disservice. I think if she just would have piped down a couple of times, she would have been fine. Okay. Now, Dan. Okay. As we all know, Dan is a traitor. I don't know how he won Big Brother once, twice, whatever the case was. He didn't seem like this smart mastermind guy. I think Dan winning Big Brother multiple times or almost multiple times is just kind of like the essence of like a mediocre white guy failing up. Not to be, I'm not being racist or anything, and I'm not making it about race. I'm being more like cheeky about it. But to me, it's just like Dan just seems like a mediocre white guy who failed up. Like that's kind of how he won Big Brother based on his performance at Traitors. Because I didn't see him on Big Brothers. But I was like, this is the Big Brother mastermind? Dan? Number one, he got played. I mean, absolutely played by Peter. Played. Peter played him for a frickin' fiddle. Played. He probably would have still been able to fly under the radar if he hadn't taken Peter's bait. And he also, Dan was very insecure when it came to other men. That's why he got Johnny Bananas out. That's why he got Max out. That's why he got Marcus out. He was very fearful or intimidated by other men, whether it's because maybe he's smaller in stature and these men had more physical acumen. I don't know. Maybe that's it. But he seemed very intimidated by alpha men. He got played by Peter, who to me, Peter is like we'll get to Peter when we get to Peter. But he got played by Peter. And then also, I think with Dan, there's a little bit of, and I don't dislike Dan. I actually kind of like him. He's a mediocre guy, whatever. He's kind of, don't dislike him, don't like him. He's fair, whatever the case is. But he also had a little bit of misogyny in him, which was his ultimate demise, because he seemed to be very dismissive of women. Not outright. And I don't think he's a misogynist by any means. I'm not saying that I think he's like anti-women. Nothing like that. I'm keeping it very light and very fun. What I mean by that is he dismissed poverty and maybe it just so happens that they're women. It could be that too, because I'm not putting that label on him because I don't think he's like that. He seems like a normal, nice person. So I don't mean it in that way. But he dismissed poverty when she said, no, this is a trap. Peter told me the same thing. Peter doesn't trust me. Why would he tell me this? And he dismissed her. And he was like, no, Peter's not that smart. We need to go for Bergie, blah, 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 blah. When anybody in their right mind, just to play it safe, would have picked someone who was like not in that little circle that they did. Because there were safe people to murder that it wouldn't blow back on the people that Peter told. But he was in his ego. He knew best. Poverty, shut up. And went for Bergie, which to me was like the dumbest move ever. And clearly put a target on his back. And that's why he got, banished. And then also, what gave a little bit of misogyny, and again, maybe they just happen to be women and it has nothing to do with their sex. So I'm not putting that label on him. But he so clearly underestimated Phaedra. So clearly underestimated this woman until she read him for filth all the way down. Because in the beginning, he was like, oh, with Phaedra, if she's a traitor, I won't be able to make it to the end. And I'm like, why would you say that, Dan? Like, what do you mean if Phaedra is still on your team, you won't make it? She's doing great. She's participating. She is social. She's likable, but she's not doing the most. She's not over the top. She's doing a great job. She's getting information, but she's not being sneaky about it. She's doing a hell of a better job than you are, Dan. That's why you're on the chopping block all the time. So when he said that, I was like, what? You're totally underestimating her. Until she read him for filth all day long. Then he also tried to get Poverty on his side against her. Like, we're going to have to throw Phaedra under the bus, Poverty. Like, you have to do this. And Poverty's stupid self, that's why she's banished too. Not stupid in a name-calling way, but like in a, we're just having a fun kiki. So I don't mean to call names. But Poverty, with her gullible self, was like, okay, let's do it. And then she's in the round table. I think there has to be a traitor that's a housewife. Like, Poverty girl, shut up. And then Phaedra came in and read them both for filth. And she was like, stop it. Don't put my name in it. Don't do that to me. She's like, I'll be nice right now, but don't let it happen again. And then she looked at Dan and she goes, both of you. And I was like, damn straight, Phaedra. You set them all the way right. The two of them going against Phaedra. And then Phaedra becomes the last traitor standing. You go, girl, all the way. All the freaking way. But then, so he tries to get them against Phaedra. And then all of a sudden, once Phaedra reads him for filth and he gets banished, then all of a sudden he's like, oh, yeah, Phaedra, she is so smart. She's a lawyer and she's so strategic. And I'm like, funny how your tune changed, Dan, once she read you for filth and got you banished out the house. All of a sudden now she's so smart and she's a lawyer and she's so strategic. I thought you were saying how if she was on your side, you wouldn't make it at the end as a traitor. You see what I'm saying? How quick he was to flip it? Boy, bye. I didn't mind Dan being banished. I thought his whole points against Phaedra were very weak and weird and bizarre. And I think that and again, why I think it's like he's used to kind of being a mediocre guy who fails up, because I don't know how he thought going against Phaedra was going to work when he was up for banishment. If he was smart and strategic, he should have turned on Poverty, whatever her name is, not Poverty, whatever her name is. You know what I'm saying? He should have turned on Poverty. I keep calling her Poverty. Sorry, girl, if I mispronounced your name, I apologize. He should have turned on her, because she was the one who also got the information about Bergie. And she was the one who everybody else had already suspected. If he was really smart and really strategic, he would have turned on her. Because the reason why he had to turn on a traitor, because he did. In that moment, he had to turn on a traitor because he was under the gun and they hadn't banished any. And then if he had, exposed a traitor, it would be like, oh my God, Dan, you're smart, blah, 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 we got to keep you, all of that stuff. But why would you go after Phaedra when Phaedra never got the information that Bergie allegedly didn't have the shield? That was the information that Peter had planted, right? So if you're just playing the game from a strategic gaming standpoint, the only person Dan should have went against was Poverty, because that was the only one that would have made sense. And I actually think if he would have done that, they would have kicked her out over him, because they were coming for her neck every single time. But when he threw out Phaedra's name, that made him look even more guilty. But I think in the long run, because those that mean you harm, it always comes out for your good. I think in the long run, that will help Phaedra. Because then the next round table, it's all like, oh, it's Phaedra because Dan said it. And Peter's like, yeah, it's Phaedra now. It's not Poverty and blah, 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 blah. And Poverty's like, no, like I saw Peter. No, Phaedra's like, I saw Peter and Poverty together, blah, 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 blah. It will now look like that Dan and Peter and Poverty were the traitors. And now they're all going after Phaedra to take the heat off of them. So I think in the long run, it'll help Phaedra, which I hope it does. But to me, I was really just like, Dan, this is the Big Brother All Star? Like, okay. Maybe he just skated by and he was just so unassuming that nobody felt threatened by him that he just sort of failed up, just sort of coasted. I didn't watch him on Big Brother, but that's my guess because he wasn't giving like strategic game mastermind to me. But that's just kind of how I felt about it. Okay, here we go. Now, Bergie was the next to go. I was okay with Bergie being banished because, not my Bergalicious. I liked Bergie. He was cute and everything, but he was too beta to Peter. And I don't like beta boys. I like alpha men. So he was way too beta to Peter. And their little clique needed to be broken up. And they were too smug. They were way too smug about everything. So Bergie, if you had to go, you had to go. However, I personally, just because I'm watching it, Phaedra didn't have this knowledge. I was really hoping that Trishelle was going to be banished because Trishelle is coming too hard for Phaedra. And so I think Trishelle is Phaedra's biggest threat. So I want Trishelle gone. That would be great. Now, let's go to Poverty, who was the last traitor to be banished and the last person banished. Poverty to me, again, I guess she's like a Survivor person. She was on Survivor, I think. Again, I didn't get this like mastermind. I didn't get this like, super widow, black widow, sniper from the side person. She didn't seem that smart or strategic to me. But I do have to say, she did make the right call when she said we should not banish anybody that Peter told us had the shield. She definitely 100% made the right call. Where she totally messed up, and as Phaedra said, you're going to make your bed. Why in the world did she pick Peter to ask to become a traitor? That's some pick me energy. And what I mean by that is it's that pick me energy where it's like she thinks Peter is like the cool guy in the house. He's cute. He's from The Bachelor. All the guys want to be him. But he's like negging her. He's like mean to her. He's like, you're a traitor. Nobody likes you, Poverty. Blah, 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 blah. And so she wants to be so picked by him, so chosen by him, that she made a very stupid choice in the game. On what planet would you want to try to recruit Peter? Hell no. If I was going to recruit a traitor, I would recruit a traitor, one of the faithfuls who was not a part of that. We are the faithfuls of the faithfuls. I would have recruited Sandra or Sandra. I would have recruited her because I do think she's very smart. She's very cutthroat and she's very cold. I would have recruited Sandra. And then I would have banished Peter. And that's why it blew up in her face when he didn't choose to be a traitor. And then it blew up in her face when he's like, Then all of a sudden, again, that pick me energy where she's like, "Oh my god, you want to work with me, Peter? Okay." And then he thinks he's so cool that he's just like suave. He's giving like F boy energy, like, "Yeah, like I was really mean to you before. I called you a lot of names and I called you a traitor and like I got everybody else against you, but like, do you want to work together now? Like, let's do this, poverty." I was like, "This F boy energy, get the hell out of here." You know? It's like the guy who, like, left you on red forever, and then 2 AM, it's like, "You up, girl?" And then you're such, like, a pick me, you're like, "Oh my god, I am, come over." Like, girl, have some self-respect, have some self-esteem. He doesn't like you, boo-boo, he's using you. Girl, stop. It was very, very pick me energy, like, "Oh my god, Peter wants to work with me, I can't believe it." That's why you got banished, poverty. But I do think it's gonna work out for the better because I do think it's gonna turn a lot of suspicion onto Peter. And I'm ready for the two people I want gone is Trishelle first, then Peter. Because I think that Trishelle is the biggest threat to Phaedra, and I wanna protect Phaedra at all cost. Okay. So that's kind of where I land with that. But by poverty, the headbands, like you're not Blair Waldorf. Like, stop it. Stop. So I'm okay with poverty being gone because I want Phaedra to have stronger traitor allies because clearly she's the mastermind. She's the moment. She's an icon. She's everything. She outlasted Dan. She outlasted poverty. And what I love about Phaedra is that she gives people the rope to hang themselves. She's like, "Oh, Dan, you wanna banish, you wanna murder Burgerlicious? That's an idiotic move, but go right ahead." And then she's like, "Oh, poverty, you want to ask Peter to be a traitor? That's an idiotic move, but go right ahead." And she's like, I'm just going to sit over here in my corner. So I love how she lets people hang themselves. So you go, Phaedra. Okay, who's next? Now there's John. Okay. Because that's the last person that we know who got banished or murdered. So John is the former Speaker of the House of Commons. I like him. He's cool. He's smart. He sees through the BS. Go, John. That's pretty much all I have to say about him. I do like him. I really do. Um, Trishelle. I already made it clear about how I felt about Trishelle. I guess she was on the real world. She needs to stop also with like her like, fragile girl tears. Like, "Oh my god, CT, like, I can't believe you didn't light my torch." Like, it's about friendship to me. Like, I was gonna light your torch. Trishelle, stop lying through your big bird teeth. You are not gonna light CT's torch. You are a pick me, just like poverty. You are gonna light Peter's torch. Don't lie, because you have been all up Peter's butt. Oh, Peter, 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 Peter. She's only crying to CT because it's like, again, life is just high school. It's like CT is like her, you know, loyal best friend who's a guy and they're just friends, but maybe there's something more going on. And then Peter's like the hot quarterback guy who's finally paying her attention. And she's like, "Oh my God, Peter's paying me attention." And CT's like, "Well, I don't know. All right, I'm just going to, light a torch for John because it's best for the game." And so since she didn't get, Peter's attention and then CT's attention's going someplace else. Now she's going to go back to CT and like cry to him. I was like, "Trishelle, why are you crying? Like, are you in CT like knocking boots? Like, are you like what are these tears for?" Like the overreaction of it all. And then CT totally falls for it and then gives her a shield at the next mission because he's like, "I want to make it up to you, Trishelle." And I'm like, what the hell is this? CT, save yourself. You should have kept the shield for yourself. Trishelle is just using you. You are her backup. She really wants Peter. Like, stop. I can't handle it. Trishelle can leave. I'm done with Trishelle. Okay, Kate. I love Kate. I do. Did you guys watch her on Traitors season 1? Loved her. I loved her in Brandy, and I'm not the biggest Brandy fan. My heart goes out to Brandy. I think there's a lot of ticky ticky boom stuff going on there. And I don't mean this to body shame, I mean this in a sincere way, like, what's also going on with, like, her face and her health. And when I say her face, I'm not saying it in a mean way, I'm being serious. It's like, what's really going on, like, actually, like, concerned about her well-being. That's really what I mean when I say that. Um, so shout out to Brandy. I just hope she gets whatever help she really, really needs and all that stuff. But anyway, I like Kate. I don't watch Below Deck, so I've never seen her on Below Deck, but I like her. I think she's funny. I think she's sarcastic. I think she's smart. I am totally living for this Kate Phaedra alliance. And Phaedra was right. She goes, Kate says the things I can't say because every time Phaedra has been up to the chopping block, Sheree, bless her heart, hasn't really had her back other than lighting her torch. But Sheree isn't the best wordsmith, so I don't really blame Sheree. I think Sheree is just kind of a deer in headlights, not the sharpest tool. You know what I'm saying? So I give Sheree a pass. But Kate's always like, "Oh, her saying not my burgerlicious, that was problematic for you." Like, that was, like, such a great line, and she's like, "Dramatic, have you not seen her?" Like, just I loved Kate just having Phaedra's back, and I'm so here for this alliance. I think they're gonna be such a fun traitor duo to watch. I love Kate. I think she's beautiful, I think she's funny, I think she's strong, she's interesting, she's not boring, she doesn't have herd mentality. I am so here for her and Phaedra. I want them to kill all the faithfuls, and then I want them to split the money and go off into the sunset and be happy ever after. Like, that is what my heart wants. And my heart gets what my heart wants. So that's what's going to happen because that's what I want to happen. That is what I want so much. Like, I am living for these two women. Living. So shout out to Kate. I'm so happy she's back. And great casting, Traitors actually Traitors season 1, if you guys don't know, beat Vanderpump Rules for an Emmy for casting because Vanderpump Rules was up for an Emmy for casting, but they lost to Traitors for season 1 Traitors. And I'm going to tell you, I think that was the right call because there isn't really any good casting on Vanderpump Rules. They basically have the same cast, other than a couple of people, since the very beginning. Um, and also like the casting isn't like I think if they would have won casting for season 1 of Vanderpump Rules, yeah, because that was brilliant casting. That original OG cast, because those were real friends, real people, real drama, all of that. Yes. But to win casting for season 9 of Vanderpump Rules, get the hell out of here, please. I don't think anybody gets an Emmy for casting Allie. I'm sorry. Like, no tea, no shade, but like nobody's winning an Emmy for casting Allie. I'm just saying that. Anyway, shout out to Traitors casting. I do think it was a brilliant move by I'm not sure if it was probably production's choice to bring Kate back, but it was casting's choice to cast her in the first place. I thought that was really brilliant. I think that she was a good addition to the show, energetically wise, after Tamara and Janelle were both eliminated because they kind of have same energy. Like Kate, Tamara, Janelle, they all kind of look alike, but they also kind of have same energy too. So I do think that once they got the Tamara and the Janelle energy out, I think it was really brilliant to replace it with Kate. So that is the duo I am looking for and living for. Da, 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 da. Okay. Now let's see. Sandra to me, or Sandra, if I'm mispronouncing your name, I apologize. I'm just going to call you Sandra. And if it's not Sandra, I'm sorry. She scares me. She really does. There is something about her energy and her eyes and the way she talks. There is an actual coldness to her that, like, I wouldn't be shocked if she had, like, literal bodies buried in her background or in her backyard. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she was, like, a female serial killer. Like, she just gives me this weird, like, cold, detached weirdness. You know what I mean? Like, this, like, I don't know, just like how she talks. She's like, "I am cold and I'm a killer and I'm just like, "Girl, like, are you talking about the game or are you trying to tell us something? Like, what is going on?" Obviously, I'm being facetious and being really, like, silly with it, but she does give me that, like, weird, like, I will slit your throat at night and not feel any, like, remorse. She gives me very cold, scary energy vibes. So, that's all I'm gonna say about her because, ugh, I wanna know what your take on her is. She was on Survivor too, and I know her and Poverty were, like, nemesis or whatever the case was. Again, I don't watch Survivor. I've never really watched it, so I haven't seen these people on these shows, but Sandra gives me a very scary, cold like, I wouldn't mess with her. Like, Kiki aside, because obviously I'm, like, joking and, like, having fun, but, like, Kiki aside, I wouldn't mess with her. I wouldn't wanna be around her. She no, she's not my cup of tea. There's just something very seriously cold about her that I personally wouldn't mess with. Like, I wouldn't no, no. But that's just that's just me. But I wanna know what you guys think about her. Okay, now Mercedes, MJ. I MJ has grown on me over the years from Shaws of Sunset. Just to pivot a little bit and talk about that show for like a scotch since we're talking about MJ. Reza, I can't. Like, I can't with Reza. The way he spoke on MJ's body and her unborn children and her medical history was just so disgusting and evil to me. I don't know how she ever took him back as a friend. He's done a lot of very gross and scary things. Yikes. I wonder what the state of MJ's marriage is. I feel like ever since Reza and his husband Tommy locked up no, his husband what's Reza's husband's name? Because MJ's husband is Tommy. Whatever Reza's husband's name is, the ginger. Ever since Reza and the ginger locked up Tommy in jail for breaking some plants, and then MJ became friends with Reza again, I don't know how a marriage survives that. I don't my gut, I don't think that MJ and Tommy are happy. I think they sleep in separate rooms. I think he's in it for his son. My gut says I wouldn't be surprised if they get divorced. I don't think that they are happy. I love Tommy. I think he's great. And I think that him and MJ would have been very, very happy if MJ was able to cut off her codependent, toxic dependency with Reza. Because there's no way, and I mean no way, on God's green earth, you are going to do to me what Reza did to me. And then you send my husband, the father of my child, to jail, to jail, because he broke some plants and expect me to ever mess with you again in this world and in this life. Not just my husband, but the father of my children to jail. Tommy went to jail because of this. They had restraining orders against him. They let him go to jail. He was in jail. Then he had to go to anger management and all this. And then you want to go and befriend this person? Tommy is a better man than me because I would have been out. I would have divorced her the moment it came out of her mouth that you're thinking of befriending this man again. I would have been on the phone with my divorce attorney and it would have been over and done. You're going to sit and kiki with a man who sent me to jail because I was defending your honor? Never again. Never again. I am team Tommy 100% on this. If he divorces her, I would be okay with that. Nothing against MJ personally, but you're an idiot. You had a husband who truly loved you. Great father. And you're willing to jeopardize that for Reza? who told the world that you had multiple A words, blasted your medical records on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter for the world to see, who said it was your fault you almost died during childbirth. This is the person you're choosing over your husband and the father of your children? Never. You're not gonna send anybody in this world that close to me to jail because he broke some plants. Mm-mm. I don't think they're happy. I think he clearly sleeps in a separate room. I think he's writing it out for the sake of his son. But I think there will come a time when we're going to have a little radar online report that they're divorced. I don't see them coming back from that. I really don't. I really, really don't. Anyway, MJ on the show. She's okay. I mean, now that she's kind of out from Larsa's thumb, I don't mind MJ that much. She's okay. She's funny sometimes. I did feel bad for her when she was like, nobody lit my torch. I was nobody's first choice. Well, karma's a bee. Maybe you should have made your husband your first choice. I'm just saying. Because again, I think she's probably not feeling prioritized at home because Tommy's probably like, I don't know how to love you the way I used to when you know what this man did to me. And now you want me to have my child around him. Now you're friends with him again when you know what he did. Like, could you imagine? Flip it around. And then I'm going to get off the soapbox, but flip it around. Could you imagine if Tommy had a lifelong friend who was a girl, gay or straight, doesn't matter, and MJ was defending Tommy's honor after this girl did something horrible to him. She broke a couple of plants, and this girl sent MJ to jail. What would you want MJ to do if then her husband was like, I want to be friends with her again. I don't care that you went to jail. Could you imagine? We would be up in arms. MJ, you stupid. You dumb for that one, girl. Okay. Kevin from Bling Empire. Now, I did watch Kevin on Bling Empire. Kevin, I don't know if he's a dope to me. Like I'm with Larsa, I'm with Kate, I'm with everybody on him where it's just like he's just kind of annoying cuz it's like is this an act? This sort of like dopey guy act? But I don't think it's an act. I really think that's kind of like him. I think he's just kind of dopey like that. And the fact that but what I will say this. I was pleasantly surprised when he actually had his own unique thought and was like, wait a minute, I don't trust Peter anymore. Peter was like, poverty, poverty, poverty. Then all of a sudden he flipped it and was like, Phaedra, Phaedra, Phaedra. And then Peter got caught saying that he wanted to work with poverty and then all of this stuff. And he was like, well, I don't really trust Peter anymore. That's what I mean by I don't like beta boys. Do you know what I mean? He's so beta. And it's like, why would you be so beta, Kevin? Like you're attractive, you're a model, you're an actor, you have the body, but you're still so beta in your personality that you were just blindly following whatever Peter, your master, your king said. And then once it blew up in your face, turns out poverty is a traitor, but yet you voted for Phaedra. Turns out Peter, your leader, was trying to work with poverty because he wanted a traitor on his side. That doesn't sound like a faithful to me. That sounds like a schemer to me. He may have said, no, I don't want to be a traitor, but he wanted poverty in his pocket. And that's why he was an F-boy to her and she was a pick-me. He was like, yeah, I know I call you a traitor. I know I talk about you all the time, but like, let's work together. Because he wanted her in his pocket. He wanted a traitor on his side. That's not a faithful. That's two-faced. That's a scam. That's a schemer. And then Kevin was like, yo, I don't think I trust Peter. Duh! Ding, 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 Kevin. But yeah, I mean, Kevin's kind of there. He can be banished. I'm okay with him leaving. I don't think that would be much of a loss. He's kind of filler. He's kind of fluff. He might be a person who fails up, where people don't really look at him either way. So he kind of just floats in. He's like a floater. So he might make it to the end just because, he isn't that noteworthy. But I am happy that he finally woke up and was like, oh, I don't trust Peter. Yeah, you shouldn't trust Peter. But yet you voted for Phaedra. Boy, bye. Okay, CT. So CT was on The Real World. I did not watch him on The Real World, but I clearly remember his face because I think like he's on like the challenge and all that stuff. So I'd seen his face. I didn't just like know like who he was. I like CT. I actually think he's like normal, nice. He's really cool. I love him and Phaedra vibes. Like it's really fun and cute to watch them kind of like flirt. He's very protective over her, and she's like, "Oh, CT," and like she like lit his torch, which I thought was such a smart move on her part because she's so brilliant and strategic. I like CT. I wouldn't mind him going all the way to the end. Along with the Traitors. He won't get any money because I want Phaedra and Kate to win. But I like CT. I want him to go to the end. I think he's honest. I think he's smart. I think he's super competitive. But I think he also needs to separate himself from Trishelle because I don't trust Trishelle. She's also very pick me. I think she's like, I am like the head cheerleader, but I'm still super insecure. So, Peter, please pick me. But if you won't pick me, well, then I'll just cry to CT about it. Right? I don't trust Trishelle. I think that he should, and the way she manipulated him into giving her the shield, CT, no. Save yourself. If you get a shield, you keep it for you. But then he gives it to her because of her tears. This is about friendship for me? Girl, no, it's not about friendship. It's about the money at the end of the game. That's why it's a game. That's why these cameras are here. Because it's a game, you know? So CT, you gotta buck up a little bit there. Don't let Trishelle play you. She weaponized her tears, and you got a shield for her. Stop it. We love you, CT, but anybody can be banished. Anybody can be murdered. So watch out for yourself. But I like CT. I hope he makes it to the end. He's pretty cool. He seems genuine and sincere. Peter. Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. Okay. Oh, Peter. Peter, you almost were brilliant. Where Peter messed up, because he is like the king of the faithfuls, he does have, Peter's not my personal type, but he does have alpha male energy. He was the bachelor. He has a very stereotypical, very commercial, very normative hot guy looks. He's tall, he's cute, all of that stuff. He's confident. So Peter is winning in all of those categories in that very like cookie cutter American boy way. And I do think that's very charismatic. He was the bachelor for a reason. And he has been able to wrangle in the betas. He kind of has CT on his side. He has Kevin on his side. He has Bergie. I don't think that John is beta, but he does have John on his side. But John's not a beta personality by any means. But he does have him on his side. Beta boys are like Kevin and Bergie. They're very, very beta. But he also has like John on his side, and he has Pick Me Trishelle on his side, right? So because he kind of has that all-American guy, charismatic alpha energy, he's able to wrangle people in. And he was very smart with the whole thing of like, don't tell them who has the shield. Let's set up this trap. And obviously Dan fell for it, and that's why Dan got banished. So he's really smart and strategic. Where Dan misstepped, I think, are two things. His biggest misstep was trying to align himself with poverty. The moment he went to her and was like, let's work together, I think that was the beginning of his end. He should have kept it 100. If you're going to call her out, she's a traitor, she's this, she's that, then don't F with her. If you don't F with her, don't F with her. But you're going back on it because you're getting too big for your britches. Not only that, but like if you're going to try to align yourself with the traitor, which strategically is smart, don't do it in front of other people. That was the dumb part. If you're going to try to align yourself with Poverty because you know she's a traitor, she stunk of traitor. Everybody knew Poverty was a traitor. Okay, she stunk of it. And you want to align yourself with her because you know she's a pick me and you are the alpha guy. So as the alpha F boy, you know that this pick me chick will do anything for your validation, right? Cool. Use that to your advantage. But why would you say that in front of Phaedra? Now you have a witness to your mess. And that came back to bite him in the butt because at the round table, Phaedra was like, well, no, Peter, I saw you talk to Poverty and say, let's work together. And then he had to stumble over his words to be like, oh, well, no, I was joking. And it's just like, boy, bye. Stop it. Knock it off. You got caught. If you're going to do these schemes and scams, don't do it in front of a witness. Go off to a lair somewhere. And definitely don't do it in front of someone that you're then going to try and banish because they're going to use that against you. And then that's why even Kevin and everybody else was like, yeah, Peter flipped real quick from Poverty to Phaedra. And that's the second thing. That's the second mistake he made. Flipping from Poverty to Phaedra in such a big way was super, super suspicious. Now, if his master plan were to work and say he did align himself with Poverty, a traitor, to have her protect him, and say he did it the right way, which would be in private, he still should not have protected Poverty by going after Phaedra. Because Dan, who was a traitor, just did that. It doesn't look good. That's why Kate said when she was defending Phaedra, she was like, yeah, you know, if we just went by what the traitor said last season, it would have been really easy, but that's not the case. Traitors protect traitors. There's no, like, there's no way. So it made it look like Peter, Poverty, and Dan had all been in cahoots and they picked Phaedra to go against her. So it made Phaedra look more faithful. It made her look like, you know, a target. And that's why at the end she's like crying and they're like, stay strong, because it looked like they were ganging up on her. If he was actually playing the game more strategically and say he did want to still be with have Poverty in his pocket, he should have picked somebody else. Anybody else other than Phaedra. Because she was already on the chopping block with Dan, who turned out to be an actual traitor. He should have picked somebody else to go after. Like, I don't know, like anybody else who was like he could have been like MJ. You know, you were really close with Larsa. You were, you know, blah, 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 blah. You should like you weren't murdered when you should have been murdered. We thought Larsa was a traitor and she protected you, but turns out she's a faithful. So how did you stay? Blah, 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 blah. Literally, pick anybody else other than your little minions. But that's where he's doing the misstep. And I cannot wait for her to say the line they keep teasing where she's like, Peter, this isn't The Bachelor, and I don't have to kiss your ass for a rose. Like, I can't wait for that to happen. So to me, Peter was almost amazing because he is, you know, conventionally attractive. He's charismatic. He is the alpha male. Even though CT is like the bigger male, Peter's the alpha in that situation because he's the most influential and powerful. You know, everybody else kind of follows Peter's, except for like, you know, little outliers from here and there. He was the alpha male. He had the influence. He had the power. And he did have really good strategy. He just did a couple of missteps. So I'm interested to see how things play out for Peter over the next 1 to 2 episodes, given everything that's happened. Other than that, do I like Peter? Yeah, he's fine. You know, I think he would be like a good, like, hangout friend, someone to like go out with. I'd be like his wing woman or something. I like Peter, but I think he just got a little too big for his bridges. And so I think it'll be interesting to see if he can reel it back in. But I think he kind of got knocked off of his pedestal this last episode when he got called out for trying to align with Poverty, who everybody knew was a traitor, and then going and trying to sacrifice Phaedra in order to save her. I think that really knocked him off his pedestal. So it'll be interesting to see if he can climb back on. Okay. And then last but not least, we have Sheree. She by Sheree. So when it comes to Sheree, I think it's more like she's kind of floating along. I kind of feel like Sheree doesn't understand what's going on half the time. Like, I don't know if that's like, not in a mean way, but I kind of feel like she's in over her head. Like, people are kind of like, oh, okay, Sheree, okay. Like, she's kind of just like, she's clearly a faithful. And I think half the time she doesn't really know what's going on. I'm happy she's there. So Phaedra has more people in her corner. I'm happy that she lit Phaedra's torch. She's cool and she's fun. I think Sheree might be another floater person who nobody feels particularly threatened by. Nobody pays particular attention to. And I think she may be able just to float to the end. And I'm not mad at that. I wouldn't mind Sheree and CT, Kate, and Phaedra. That's really my favorite people to make it to the end. I wouldn't mind that. That'd be fine with me. But I do want Phaedra and Kate to ultimately win because I love the Traitors. I want the Traitors to win. So yeah, I kind of feel like Sheree is kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. Should I run over here? Okay, I'm gonna run over here. We're having a bit like she doesn't really talk game. She's just kind of there. But I'm okay with it because I like her. I like her. And I think she needs the win. So I'm in her corner. I want her to, she needs the win. So woof, there you have it. We were gonna talk about Real Housewives of Miami, but it's been an hour and a half. So I'm gonna leave it there. So I want to know what you guys think that I want to know what you guys think about Traitors. Who do you want to win? What do you think about the banishment and the murder so far? Who do you think is going to take it to the very, very, very end? Who's playing the game smart? Who's not playing the game smart? What do you guys think? So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and put it down below. So with that, you guys, I'm going to drop the link because I want to take some candy cane questions and comments before we head out. So the link is dropped in case anybody wants to come up